Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, your boy is at a different hotel right now. The vacation is still going on for a couple more days. I do return fairly soon, but I'm still going to be out for, 4 more days once I do return. So everything will be back to normal pretty much a week from now. We're going to have higher quality videos. We're going to have the thumbnails back. I don't have access to one of the things I use my thumbnails for, so I decided to just no thumbnails, but that is still okay because the information we still talk about in these videos are still very, very relevant, right? They still are. And, obviously, if you guys want, you could join the open community. It's the first link in the description, right? It's free. Everyone can get in as long as you just have Discord. And if you don't, just create a Discord account. And yeah, we talk about Turbo mainly. We also talk about some other coins. And yeah, it's really awesome. And of course, if you want a portfolio review or you want information to private info or very valuable info, then highly recommend joining the private community. But anyways, let's just jump right into this video. So, right, we can see our beloved Turbo. Wow, malware warning. Oh, damn. You ended 784 days ago. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now you guys see me. Anyways, like I said, we're on vacation, so if some things go a little sour, that's fine. Anyways, listen, there's something about the Turbo show. It just pulls you in. Carry Turbo in style. Grab your wallet now. So, like I said, cold wallet, they're pretty good, right? I highly recommend getting one if you do not have one, ladies and gentlemen, right? Boom, right? I could watch Turbo show all day long. See, we're still getting lots of support, lots of love in the comments, which is what we'd love to see. So yeah, guys, if you want the wallet, make sure to get it. Obviously, I'm not sponsored or affiliated with this. It's just I just love Turbo, so we support Turbo out here. And yeah, we can see everyone's out enjoying summer. Meanwhile, Turbo Toad sweating, building, memeing. Sun's hot, but this Toad's hustle is hotter. So yeah, Turbo does hustle a lot, actually, to be honest, right? We know they've slowed down with the amount of announcements and everything they do per month, but that's what happens when you're already at the top of the game. It's not necessarily always about doing this or doing that. It's more about maintaining, right? This coin is about maintaining its spot, and it's more about, if there is going to be some type of update, they do some type of innovation, some type of exchange listing, whatever the case is, it's probably going to be very high quality and something that takes some time, right? We know Robinhood is the next big deal when it comes to something like Turbo, okay? That is like the biggest thing I can think off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a few more other things, but they've covered way more sectors, way more things than any other meme coin I can personally, think of. And it's like, sure, I don't follow every meme coin 24/7. So maybe there is one or two meme coins that are on a similar level, and that's fine. But Turbo, I promise you, will be a top 10 meme coin, pushing to that top 5 at the end of this cycle. We can see that we are 228 million market cap with roughly 50 million volume, and we are ranked 166. The community sentiment is still 91%. There was a time where this tanked down to below 50%, but that was on literally every single coin. There was some type of botting issue. I know people worried at the time, but it got fixed. It got fixed. Last time I remember we were around 55,700 and something holders, right? I haven't looked at this in a couple of days. The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, right, even if we go down a little bit or we go up, it doesn't really matter too much right now, because I'm telling you, when altcoin season will happen, because it still suggests it will, right? Then this thing is gonna be like all like the little growth and the little dips that happen between now and that time are gonna be irrelevant, because you're gonna be seeing hundreds of holders each day, thousands of holders each day, even tens of thousands of holders each day, right? I'm not saying it's gonna be tens of thousands of holders, every day for 2 months, but for a couple of days, for maybe, the equivalent of 2 weeks, yeah, that can happen. That could 100% happen, because crypto moves in bursts, right? Even my views on my videos are always higher when things start going up a little bit more. Right now, imagine once Turbo 10x's, 20x's, 50x's, and then the whole world gets onto the whole crypto game, right? It's just everything moves in bursts with crypto. That is how it is, unfortunately. But if you have patience, you do get rewarded. So we can see we did peak at 55,741 holders, and then we did take a big dip, but not too concerning, right? Not too concerning. The lows were on Sunday at 55,576. So what, roughly 200 less than the top. Doesn't really matter, because once we start going green, we're going to recover that in no time. All right, let's dive into the technical analysis. So we can see, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few zones marked up, right? Boom, this purple zone, this top one over here, is the 3-month order block, right? We tapped off the 3-month order block, and then we sold off aggressively. We knew we were going to sell off a little bit off there, but we didn't think it was going to be as aggressive. We did also say once we, did tap off of here, we knew we're going to retest off of this support and go into our order block candle, which is exactly what happened, right? It's happening right now. I will say, as long as June can end good, we are going to look very, very good, right? Especially if we do close, I would say, above 0.0035, then things are going to look better. Now, guys, I just want to say, because I've said this before, I'll say it again, right? Just because we are off a certain zone, or just because global liquidity says that something will happen within a 2-week span, a 4-week span, doesn't always mean it's going to happen, right? I just tell you some stuff, what can happen, and then I tell you some stuff that if this happens, this is the meaning of it. And then there's some stuff where, like, here, right, when this broke structure here, I was saying this is going to be the start of the reversal, right? Because we had confirmation. And then same thing happened here, right? When Turbo was looking extremely weak, I said we're going to sell off. There were some other YouTubers and people, influencers on Twitter saying, we're going to go up because, it was in some type of wedge or whatever. But no, the data, nothing suggested in terms of the actual candles that it was going to go up. In fact, it was going to go lower, and that's exactly what happened. So, until we get actual confirmation, off of structure, there is nothing suggesting we are going to go up, right? On the lower time frame, about a week ago, right, I did say, yeah, we are actually creating higher highs and higher lows, but I want to see something on a higher time frame than just a 4-hour, right? Because we were boom, boom, boom. And then once we slammed back down, again, it was not looking good. We're looking weak. When we were over here, I was just saying, yeah, this thing's going to sell off. And then it sold off, right? And now, we're in an interesting area because we are actually looking at some type of reversals, right? On the 4-hour and the 1-hour, we are already confirmed with reversals. But we got to remember that those hold way less value than a daily or a weekly. Now, obviously, the monthly and 3-month candles have a lot of value. Okay, the higher the time frame, the better. But obviously, you have to wait longer and longer. Okay, and at that point, you're not always getting the best entries. But we can see, right, in terms of 4-hour, we are already kind of creating a reverse head and shoulders. All right, boom, over here. Now we would have to reclaim a good amount of structure. Okay, right now it's looking good, but you've got to remember, right, the market can go up to a certain zone. Like Turbo can go up to 0.0035, and if it sells off from there, then it's still technically following structure on a higher time frame, right, on the bigger picture. So, the next zones we are really looking for is going to be, I would say, 0.003637. The reason why I put it slightly higher, because there's more support and resistance here, plus, wicks, right? If we go up and we, sell off of this candle, 4-hour candle, then it's just simply manipulation, right? It's just simple manipulation. But yeah, nothing too crazy right now. We are just kind of hanging, in the middle of nowhere in a way, but we are also kind of at the bottom of this support, right? We are at the bottom of this support. So, we are looking to pull back a little bit. If this week is going to end fairly bullish, then this is actually going to be really, really good, right? Really, really good. I don't know how fast and how fast things will pump, right? Based off global liquidity, we already thought like a month ago we were supposed to be going up, but clearly, we stopped following global liquidity to the T when it came down to the 91 days, when it came to all these micro moves, right? We're still going to see how global liquidity follows, how it works with Bitcoin and Turbo when it comes to big points, right? And not all the little micro moves, because, I don't have the indicator here with the specific settings, but practically, right, we knew there was a top for global liquidity, there was a bottom, and then after that, we started to follow the micro moves. But that's because the micro moves were fairly accurate until they weren't. So, starting now, what we're going to measure is just the big zones, right? The tops, the bottoms, a big dip, a big pump. That's where we're going to measure for global liquidity to see if Bitcoin and Turbo does follow. And yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I will say though, this war thing definitely did put a wrench and caused issues with the markets, right? It definitely slowed things down. It was not ideal. So things are delayed, but you got to remember when it comes to the actual pumps, when it comes to actual like Bitcoin season, not Bitcoin season, altcoin season, right? Boom, we are getting closer and closer to it because Bitcoin dominance is continuously going up higher and higher. And I'm not saying right away once we go to 70% we're going to sell off, but once we start getting that 70% zone, there's a high probability that we create something the way we created here and it sells off heavily. Once we see that heavy sell off, we're already going to know a lot of altcoins are going to start pumping, but that's not going to be the real altcoin season. That's just going to be the preparation, right? Then again, things will slow down for a couple of weeks. A lot of people are going to start crying again, and then boom, you're going to have all-time euphoria for 4 to 8 weeks, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it, right? But we are getting closer and closer slowly, and Turbo will experience a lot of this. I still do believe Turbo is personally going to peak a little bit earlier, so we will be keeping an eye out on that. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.